We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university.
Really,
my question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it.
You've got to see this. Ilhan Omar stormed in trying to lecture Linda McMahon on ethics. Aggressive, interrupting, acting like she had the moral high ground. Meanwhile, McMahon, calm, direct, sticking to the record. The irony is brutal. When you build your brand on outrage, facts can hit like a brick wall. Watch this.
The gentleman, I recognize now the gentlelady from Minnesota, Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here with us. Is it fair to assume that you are aware that when a loan borrower is defrauded by a school, that there is a provision in law called the borrower defense?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It is a straightforward concept. A student should not be forced to repay loans to schools that lied to them. We know that millions of federal grants and loans go out the door while students are left with education that is not worthy. So I was actually surprised a few weeks ago when your department quietly rescinded $37 million fine that was placed against Grand Canyon University. Can you explain why that happened?
Let me think for a second. Let me review my notes on that because there were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I covered with you. We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university.
Really,
my question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it, but I will look into it further and get back to you.
And you'll give me back a writing?
Yes, I will.
Writing? Okay. Because we know that, you know, the president in whom you serve had a fraudulent university called Trump University, and he himself settled 3 lawsuits before becoming president. We know that there are roughly 1.4 million borrowers who have been approved for a borrower defense discharge and are still waiting for that process. How are you clearing out that backlog?
In terms of the borrowed defense funds?
Uh-huh.
There are lists of that. I'll be happy to get back to you with those numbers.
Okay. And while those students wait, can you give us a commitment that you are not going to collect that debt?
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that as to what the situation is. And
I don't understand how that's a difficult question to say yes to. They've been defrauded. They are waiting for relief. While they wait for their relief,
well,
they shouldn't have to pay back that debt.
Well, if they've been defrauded and it's been adjudicated that they've been defrauded, then I will get back to you as to what the time frame is and why there's a holdup if there is.
Okay.
I'm not sure as I sit here right now.
Wonderful. There was, I know that you've been questioned a lot on IDEA and its funding. I won't re-litigate those questions. I just have 2 particular questions to address, or 2 areas to address. We know that the IDEA, that you have gotten rid of the legal team that guides the states in implementation. How are you going to rectify that?
I don't know what you mean by we've gotten rid of the legal team. We have had some reduction in force of
There was a
members.
firing of the entire legal team.
Well, we have other lawyers in place at the Department of Education, and we are
The
fully...
entire team that was for IDEA has been fired. So how are you addressing that?
Because we have other lawyers who are in place that can handle those things. And as I mentioned before, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements.
Well, I do believe that firing hurts the implementation. We also know that you have gutted the Office of Civil Rights when there is already investigation backlog. How are you going to fix the discrimination claim cases that are out there?
Well, there are, excuse me, there are cases that we're looking into. And again, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements in terms of OCR. We also have a task force.
There is a backlog. There are a lot of
There is a backlog
There are a lot of
because we
kids in our schools that are waiting for relief. When you get rid of the people that are supposed to carry out those investigations, how are you to assure that those kids will not continue to be harmed? We are talking about so many situations in where kids are being discriminated against, and you got rid of the people that investigate those investigations so those kids can protect themselves from from discrimination.
Well, we still have a very strong and capable staff in OCR. At the
Then
Department
you
of
wouldn't have a
Education.
backlog if that was the case. There is a current backlog, and
Well,
I
excuse
would.
me.
Okay? Wow. Did you see that? First off, let's give credit where it's due. Linda McMahon is a powerhouse. Omar is throwing everything at her, interjecting, accusing her of quietly rescinding fines, trying to trap her on policy minutiae, and McMahon doesn't even blink. She calmly explains that they looked at the facts regarding Grand Canyon University, a faith-based school, by the way, which the left seems to hate, and found the accusations didn't hold water. That's called due process, Ilhan. I know that's a foreign concept to the squad, but in the real world, you don't punish people just because you don't like their politics. But let's get to the real meat of this. The audacity of Ilhan Omar sitting on that high horse is frankly insulting. She keeps harping on fraud. Students were defrauded. She says schools lied. Representative Omar, have you looked in the mirror lately? You want to talk about fraud? Let's talk about your campaign funneling millions of dollars to your husband's consulting firm. Is that not a conflict of interest? Is that not enriching your family on the donor's dime? Let's talk about the reports of ballot harvesting in your district. Project Veritas exposed some very questionable practices in Minneapolis. Cash for ballots, anyone. But sure, lecture us about the sanctity of the system. And don't even get me started on the personal controversies, the marriage questions, the immigration allegations that just won't go away. There are serious unanswered questions about whether she gamed the U.S. immigration system to get where she is. If any regular citizen had half the red flags in their file that she has in hers, they'd be under investigation yesterday. Yet here she is, lecturing a successful businesswoman like Linda McMahon about ethics. And notice how she attacks the system. She attacks the Department of Education. She attacks the schools. She attacks the very fabric of how we handle debt and responsibility. It's never enough. To Ilhan Omar, America is always the bad guy. The system is always broken, or racist, or oppressive. She spends every waking minute tearing down the country that took her in and gave her a platform to become a congresswoman. She attacks our allies. She attacks our history. And she attacks our institutions. Honestly, I'm tired of it, and I think a lot of Americans are tired of it. If you think this country is so fundamentally evil, Ilhan, if you think our schools are scams, our systems are rigged, our history is trash, then why are you still here? No one is forcing you to stay in this oppressive nightmare you described. You want to fix fraud? Start with your own district. Start with your own campaign finances. Clean up your own house before you try to burn down ours. Linda McMahon is there to do a job, to get our education system back to basics. Ilhan Omar is there to get sound bites for TikTok and tear down the United States. It's time for her to pack it up. If she hates America this much, she needs to leave America. We'll do just fine without the lectures. Let me know in the comments, whose side are you on, McMahon or the squad? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more reality checks like this. The louder they scream, the clearer the truth gets. We're not backing down. More heat coming. Stay locked in.